Hi, friends. I just finished watching Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood in their live concert. Needed that today. It's been quite a day. I woke up this morning going, oh no, I've got to do it all over again. Reimagining how we'll do ministry, how to stay connected with people, how to stay connected just as myself, and not in my role. It's been one of those days where the reality really hit me. I was watching the news, and you may not, no, you know this about me. I love like natural disaster films and apocalyptic movies and The Walking Dead and all that kind of stuff. So I've seen a lot of these images in movies, but then to actually see an image like the cars lined up for the drive-by COVID-19 testing is straight out of a movie. It was so surreal, but it's real, people. And just realizing how much people are not taking this seriously, and it's to be taken seriously. I was very surprised when the governor of Minnesota did not announce that we were going to have a shelter-in-home policy. I think we'll have it by the end of the week. I'm preparing for it. I just, stay home, stay safe. And let's try to reduce the amount of exposure, because it's not fun. If you can see it, what's going on in Italy and Spain and Germany and Britain and China and Japan, let's be safe. California, Washington, New York. My heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. And so with that, I am wearing my happy shirt. It's the Beatles. It's my Christmas Beatles shirt, and I still love Paul. He's my favorite. And I am just thinking about what I could share with you today that might be comforting, inspiring. No, didn't have that. I decided we should talk about laments. It's one of the rich treasures that we have in Judeo-Christian tradition, and that is the Psalm of Lament, the songs of complaint, the songs of saying, why? Why are you letting this happen, God? The greatest lament that we will be, as Christians, hearing in only a couple weeks on Good Friday is Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you abandoned me? And it's said by Jesus. It's Matthew 27:46. There's a rock opera. It's I love this show. I watch it every Good Friday, every year. It's Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm wondering if public television might not rerun the greatest performances episode in which they did a remake of Jesus Christ Superstar about a year ago. But in the rock opera, it imagines that Jesus asked this question on Good Friday. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus is speaking to God, and the lyrics go, "Can you show me now that I would not be killed in vain? Show me just a little of your omnipresent brain. Show me there's a reason for your wanting me to die. You're far too keen on where and how, and not so hot on why." I love that line. You're far too keen on where and how, and not so hot on why. It sounds much better when it's sung. So I'm reading, actually, it's called Psalms for Sojourners. It's by James Lindbergh, who was one of my professors. He was my Hebrew professor and my Old Testament professor at Luther Seminary, and gave me a deep love for the Old Testament. Those of you who have heard me in the last 20 years that I've been preaching, common comment is always, how come you always preach on the Old Testament? I don't always preach on the Old Testament, but I love to preach on the Old Testament. I love the Old Testament. And one of the things that you find in the Old Testament is the Psalms. And what Dr. Lindbergh writes, if Jesus felt abandoned by God, and if Jesus asked why, then it is not so strange if there are times when we have those same feelings and ask those same questions. The question Jesus asked from the cross comes from Psalm 22, and I'm going to read that to you later. It's a lament. A lament is a cry. It's a crying out. And with the elements of characteristics of a psalm type, the complaint occurs in three forms. The psalmist complains about enemies. All who see me make fun of me. They stick out their tongues and shake their heads. And the psalmist laments his own situation with I complaints. But I am no longer a man, I am a worm. My strength is gone, all my bones are out of joint. And then the most intense is the you complaint addressed to God. My God, why have you abandoned me? During the day I call to you, my God, but you do not answer. And then comes trust, in which we have the psalmist remembering what God did for God's people. Our ancestors put their trust in you. They trusted you and you saved them. And for his own life, it was you who brought me safely through birth. I have relied on you since the day I was born, and you have always been my God. And then there's a request made in a lament. Do not stay away from me. Come quickly to my rescue. So when we have laments, the starting point is this desperate cry, this expression of our shadow emotions. And laments then bring up an invitation to remember in our own lives what God has done. You've been with me so far, God. Now see me through this one too. That's part of a lament, is that I'm feeling these shadow emotions, this anger, this frustration, this fear, and I'm crying it out to you. And then there's the remembering and the asking. You've been there for me, God. Now see me through this one too, okay? And then in the midst of that, in the asking of why and the claiming of God's trust, we have our journey of the lament that brings us to, how would you say, that it's not a happy point. It's more like the zen of just being in the moment, of just being there, of just knowing, but I'm also trusting you. Because God gave his son, there is nothing the world can throw at us that separates us from God's love in Jesus Christ. That's Romans 8, that nothing can separate us from that love. So here's Psalm 22. Interesting that it's, the one right before Psalm 23, which people look to, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, this great psalm of trust. And right before it, very intentionally, is this psalm of lament, this psalm of desperation. And I hope that as we progress through this time of in-home shelter and keeping ourselves safe and our families safe, that as we're going through the shadow emotions of our laments, that we also may know and trust and believe that the depth of trust that's in Psalm 23 is what comes after. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of death, you shall not abandon me. Here's Psalm 22, more or less. I'm cutting a few pieces out because it's really long if you look it up. My God, why have you left me all alone? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my anguish groans? My God, I cry out during the day, but you don't answer. Even at nighttime, I don't stop. You are the Holy One enthroned. You are Israel's praise. Our ancestors trusted you. They trusted you and you rescued them. They cried out to you and they were saved. They trusted you and they weren't ashamed. But I'm just a worm, less than human. Insulted by one person, despised by another. All who see me make fun of me. They gape, shaking their heads. He committed himself to the Lord, so let him, God, rescue him. Let God deliver him. Let God, because God likes him so much. But you are the one who pulled me from the womb, placed me safely in my mother's breast. I was thrown on you from birth. You've been my God since I was in my mother's womb. Please don't be far from me, because trouble is near and there's no one to help. I'm poured out like water. All my bones have fallen apart. My heart is like wax. It melts inside me. My strength is dried up like a piece of broken pottery. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You've set me down in the dirt of death. Dogs surround me. A pack of evil people circle me like a lion. Oh, my poor hands and feet. I can count all my bones. Meanwhile, they just stare at me, watching me. They divvy up my garments among themselves. They cast lots for my clothes. But you, Lord, don't be far away. You are my strength. Come quick and help me. Deliver me from the sword. Deliver my life from the power of the dog. Save me from the mouth of the lion, from the horns of the wild oxen. You have answered me. I will declare your name to my brothers and sisters. I will praise you in the very center of the congregation. All of you who revere the Lord, praise him. All of you who are Jacob's descendants, honor him. All of you who are all Israel's offspring, stand in awe of him. Because he didn't despise or detest the suffering of the one who suffered. He didn't hide his face from me. No, he listened when I cried out to him for help. Good stuff. I'm going to try to remember that. I don't know about you guys, but I have been waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning for like the last 4 or 5 nights, and can't get back to sleep till like 5:30. And I looked it up, and this makes total sense. It says that 3 o'clock time is actually pretty common if you are under a lot of stress. And you are overworking your adrenaline during the day, because we actually need some adrenaline while we're sleeping. And so the 3 a.m. is actually a good thing. And I'm thankful and grateful that I'm waking up, because basically what's happening is my adrenaline level has gone kaput. And my body needs to reboot. And I know some people I've been talking to, like they read books or they study, or they've been using that time to be productive. My problem is I'm productive all day. I am going, adrenaline, and I can't be productive anymore. My adrenaline level has just gone kaput. And literally I lay there for 2 hours and I can't read or watch TV or anything, because I'm just done. And I just have to be. And I don't like the lack of sleep, but I am grateful that my body wants to survive so much. It says stop and just be. Don't produce, don't do, don't move, just be. I'm hoping that maybe I just bead a little bit more today. I got a run in. I'm doing that before we can't go exercising outside. So that should help too. And trying to be well and take care of myself please take care of yourselves. Please, take this seriously. And I don't know. My brain is like really tired. So I've got I'm preparing the interview I'm going to do this week is with our local funeral director. I'm very curious to learn more of what the CDC is saying around funerals and around the care of those who grieve during this time of social separation. And tune in when I get it posted. I think it should be interesting. Okay, I think I'll listen to some good music tonight. Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood were so inspiring. Thank you for your concert tonight. Thank you for being so real and for reminding us that we're all in this together. And keep on loving, okay? Keep on loving. Peace.